On June 8, 2014, I visited the Shilai Temple in Hacienda Heights. I remember passing by this temple many times in my past, but I never took the time to actually check it out. This time, when I went to visit the temple, even as I was driving, I was amazed to see how beautiful it was. As I parked my car, I went to the front of the building and walked around. It was a place I was nowhere near familiar with, so I felt kind of uncomfortable. I took pictures of what I could, but many of the indoor places did not allow for pictures. I started to walk around the perimeter of the site and saw interesting idols here and there, as well as different sorts of temples. As I got to the top of the site, I saw a temple, and right as I was about to take a picture, I saw a sign that said no indoor or outdoor photography. I respected this and went up to one of the volunteers at the door to ask if I could speak to a monk. When I asked her to speak to a monk, she seemed like she was avoiding the question, and as I peered inside the door, I saw a monk inside talking to another worker. I explained to her that I was there for philosophy, and I asked her if I could talk to this monk. So she went to ask the monk, and the monk immediately told me to go to the information center. I took that as a complete rejection. So that shot down my spirits for a little bit, but nonetheless, I proceeded to make my way towards the information center. On the way there, I took detours and observed and took pictures of what I could. The amount of work put into this temple was amazing. There were so many beautiful pieces of art present throughout the whole site. Finally, I made it to the information center. At this center, I was passed on to a man named John, and he took me on a brief tour of the temple. During this tour, I informed him on what I was there for, and he immediately took me to a monk and asked if I could speak to her. With a smile, the monk agreed and asked me to sit down. This monk had a great vibe radiating from her, and I was excited to talk to her. Once I explained to her why I was talking to her, we began to talk. Unfortunately, when I asked if I could record her, she said that it was very personal to her and she did not want to be representing all the monks. She said that they all have their own story. I continued to set up my recorder and then she asked, "Could you write it down?" When she said this, it clicked to me that she wasn't comfortable with me recording. I apologized and told her it was fine, and she restated her reason, as well as mentioned that she does not speak good English, so she'd rather me write it down. She supplied me with the paper and pen, and I began my questions. My first question was, when did you become a monk and why? She started by saying she was very young, 18 years old. She said that she went to a temple one day to listen to the lecture. She learned that Buddhism is a good religion for a better life. She thinks that the philosophy of Buddhism is beneficial to her life. Then I asked her again what made her become one. She stated that a monk talked to her and influenced her to propagate Buddhism. He said that Buddhism needs young people for the religion because young people are creative and they want them to contribute creativity. My next question was, did you have to leave behind friends and family? And was it hard? She began to explain that she had to leave her ordinary life. She said it was hard in the beginning. She mentioned going to a Buddhist college where she had to meditate frequently as well as learn how to preach and wake up every day at 4 a.m. She said that they would have to wake up at 4 a.m. and then have only 5 minutes to prepare. She mentioned that there is 6 in one dorm and there's only one bathroom, so this made it hard for everyone to prepare quickly. She said that the day was from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. and you were only allowed 3 meals a day, no snacks in between. After this, I asked her what was most enjoyable about being a monk. She said that the most enjoyable thing about being a monk is that she was able to change it herself. She was able to become stronger as well as learn how to handle her emotions. She also likes to benefit human beings as well as boost her self-esteem and confidence. I continued to ask her how often she meditates, and she said that she meditates for at least 1 hour every day. I asked her if she felt the urge to go back to her life before she was a monk, and she said that she was never going back. She thinks that you can't escape the problems if you run away from them. This is why she thinks it's good to keep moving forward and never regret what she has done. I asked her what is the hardest thing about being a monk. She said that the hardest thing about being a monk is making yourself a really good person. She said that it's very hard to overcome hate, and this is what she has to practice frequently. Conquering her problems is what is hard about being a monk, she said. She also mentioned that it is hard to show compassion to other people. She said showing compassion to friends and family is easy, but it is hard to show to everyone. My next question was, did you go on a long retreat? She didn't understand this question at first, so I had to elaborate more, and eventually she explained to me that her retreat was 3 months, and in these 3 months she went to all the nations of the world. She said that during these 3 months there was plenty of training, and it was a lot harder than her normal training. Instead of 3 meals a day, she was only allowed 2 meals a day. She said that she was with 500 other monastic people, and everything was very fast-paced. I then asked her what she believes the purpose of life to be. She said that the purpose of life is to improve ourselves. She said that the more you improve yourself, the more you can help others. My last question was, how is your teacher like? When I asked her this question, she seemed delighted to answer. She began to say that her teacher is amazing and he shows compassion all the time. He is always giving and he helps everyone he needs. She said that he helps with temples and organizations, and she re-emphasized how compassionate he is. She said that you can feel the compassion radiating from him when you talk to him. She said that it even brought people to tears. She said that he is a very generous person and an inspiration to her.